Alright, good morning. I never see myself in these sunglasses before, so so it's interesting to see they take up a whole shit ton of my face. So today we are talking about the time that I drove for approximately 20 kilometers on the highway with a shit ton of weed in my car and a broken wheel as well. A broken tire, but it was like the whole wheel was busted. So how did it happen? Well, I was still new to weed and stuff like that. I wasn't aware that here in South Africa you can actually get it pretty freely available. There are literally stores on the side of the road. Proper stores like Woolworths. But it's weed and shrooms and stuff like that. Back then I didn't know any of this. I was still new to the whole scene. So what ended up happening was the dude that gave me my first brownie, I decided I was going to buy a whole bunch of the rest of his brownies. And so I went and I did that. I think I asked for the rest of the brownies. Because even though that first experience was terrible, I could feel that there was something there. It felt like I should definitely keep trying it. It's been a huge healing factor, all the plant medicines in my life. Back then though, I didn't know this. Back then I was still new to everything. This was like a couple years ago. Basically what happened was I hit him up. I said, hey bro, I'm gonna pull through to you. So he was about 45 minutes away on the other side of the city. You go through the city and end up on the other side, and that's where he is. And for anyone who is, aware of Johannesburg, he's in Alberton and I'm on the other side, so I'm in Sandton. So I must say that before I drove there, before I went there, I could feel something was off. I could feel my intuition was playing up, but I was also still new to all of that. So I didn't know what it was trying to tell me. I didn't understand what it was trying to say. So my mind was saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But then I was combating it with saying, why not? What is my intuition trying to tell me? It wasn't my mind. It was my mind saying don't do this, but my intuition wasn't saying don't do this. My intuition was actually saying something else. And in hindsight, I realized exactly what it was saying before I left, because what my intuition was really telling me was, if you take this car, you're gonna have trouble on the way back. And I knew this because I took this car. I then came back and got in the other car. I then said, no, I'm being foolish. And I also didn't want to use my mom's petrol. So I was like, it's fine. I came back with that car, got back into this car and made my way there. So that was already about 20-30 minutes worth of time. Then finally, I was going there. It was a very nice drive there because it was sunset. And I was on the highway, so I was just having time pass. That's one of my favorite things, is being in the car and time passes and just watching the sky change as the sun sets and things like that. So that's what I was doing as I was going along this drive. Finally I get there, we have a big chat, maybe another 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then finally I leave. And literally as I pull onto the ramp on the highway, my tire goes and I'm like, no, what has happened? What has happened? Oh, by the way, but at this point, this was probably the 8th time something wrong happened with my tire in approximately 6 months. But I'll tell that story another time. My tires were just not agreeing with me. But this one popped, and it was proper popping, so it was now scraping. It was a rim on the road. It was late at night, it was in the middle of lockdown, so I wasn't actually supposed to be out. And luckily the curfew was a little later this time, so I could still be out. But there were a lot more cops on the road, which was what I initially thought my intuition was trying to tell me was, don't go do this because cops are gonna pull you over. Because of that, I had it in my head that the cops are totally gonna pull me over, and I'm gonna have to have a whole story planned out about why I have 100 brownies in the front seat of my car. So I got on the highway, my tire popped, and then I didn't have a spare tire because at this point I had already gone through 100 tires, so all my spare tires had been used. And the one in the back seat was also popped because of the same exact reason. I didn't have money for all of these freaking tires, so I was just hoping that things would work out, but they didn't. But now they have. But back then it was rough. So I didn't have a spare tire. So the only option I had was to try and get this tire fixed. I don't know how they were going to do that, but I took it, I drove. First I phoned my mom. Oh, that's another thing, is my phone was about to die. Everything went wrong that night. So my phone died literally as I got, so I drove a little bit on this tire because I didn't have a spare and I didn't have tools to try and look at this tire myself, and it was now dark and I was on a highway, so I was like, this isn't worth it. Let me drive to the next off ramp, see if I can pull into the nearest petrol station. I did that. I literally just got to the petrol station and I literally sent a message to my mom saying location and saying phone gonna die. But nothing happened there. My mom didn't receive those messages until later. So I had to make a plan to get home, and my plan was pull in the petrol station, see if they have a way to fix it. No, they don't have a way to fix it. Leave the petrol station, still with a broken tire. Tire getting worse and worse, now going from a pop to an actual, this is the point where the rim started going on the road. Luckily the tire was still just a little bit enough that the rim wasn't on the road, but it was still terrible. It might as well have been the rim on the road, but luckily I didn't have to do anything like rim replacing, so it wasn't super duper bad, it was just super bad. Oh, also because this was a whole new area for me, I had no GPS, so I was using just intuition. I was just like, I got directions from this dude at the petrol station to try and get back to the highway, and he just goes on and on and on, and I'm sitting thinking like, how the I'm just gonna sleep in the middle of Joburg CBD tonight. That is not a thing you want to be doing. But there I was about to do it, but I was like, no, I can't do that. Because the thing is, my tire was busted. I had 1,000 grams of weed in the car in the form of food, which would confuse some people, in the middle of the CBD, and nothing was really working out. So I was like, f it, dude, if I have to pay for rims and stuff, I'm gonna do it, but I have to get home. So also because I wanted to get high. So I hopped back in the car, ignored the dude's directions. I did not know what he was going on about, and I was just like, okay, intuition, please guide me. And I don't even think I took one single wrong turn, and I just managed to get my way back to the highway perfectly fine. Oh no, I did take one wrong turn, but that's because I went one short, and then that was actually a shopping center parking, so I came back out, went down, then went the next one, and that was the correct one. So I shouldn't have doubted myself that first time. But nonetheless, that's what happened. That's all part of learning your intuition and how to use it. Finally, I drove this 20 kilometers, literally if I wasn't in the emergency lane, I was in the slowest lane possible on the highway. I was literally going like 50. This highway is 120 kilometers per hour, and I was going 50. And so many cops passed and slowed down next to me, and I was thinking like, shit, dude, this is the point. This is the time where the cops are going to stop me. And then I'm gonna have to say, well, I've got this many brownies because, and like, that's so stupid, dude. Brownies are the easiest way to hide this stuff. Like, if they asked me about it, I was just gonna be like, oh, I'm selling them or something like that. You know, maybe even they would have bought some, which wouldn't have been great, but I would have got cash from it. But holy shit, I don't know, because they were on duty. Maybe I would have said no, maybe they're like for a specific project or something like that. Finally, I got home. Oh yeah, the cops didn't stop me. None of the cops stopped me, even though a lot of them slowed down next to me, wondering what was going on. I did have my hazards on, so I think they could see that something was up, because my tire was my left tire. I think it was the front one. I don't remember though. But if you had your windows down, you could hear it. So I think maybe as they slowed down, they heard it or something. I don't know. But whatever. No cops pulled me over. No cops stopped me. I got home. I explained the situation to my mom. I said, don't worry about those messages. I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's okay. And then I got high. A nice reward to an evening of absolute chaos and trauma. No, it wasn't actually trauma. It was a lot of learning, a lot of lessons about my intuition came out of that story that night. So it's not a bad thing at all. I actually am glad. Obviously, I'm always glad I go through these things, these trials and tribulations. If nothing else, they give me stories that I can share on YouTube, but they often come with more to it. You know, you learn stuff, or you heal something, or you grow a little bit more, and I'm always for that. I'm always searching for that and putting myself in situations like that so that I can do that sort of stuff. The stories just happen as a result, but luckily it means that I've lived an interesting life and continue to do so, and that means this YouTube channel is actually worthy of the content I give. You know, it's not like I'm just saying, oh, I threw a pen at the ceiling and it came down, wow, look at that story. It's more like, wow, I went through an exorcism, and by the way, that is a story, and it is coming up sometime It's one of the craziest stories I have ever to tell anyone ever. I've never told anyone the full details, and it's going to be a YouTube video that I'm going to release about the time I went through an exorcism. It is going to be a big step for me because holy shit, even thinking back to it is just mind-boggling. Because I can't believe it happened. I can't understand how it happened, but it did happen. It's exactly what I experienced. So I'm going to let you guys in on that. And stick around for that one. I hope you enjoyed this story time with me. The time I drove 100 kilometers with 1,000 grams of weed in the car. I guess that could be a fun title and thumbnail. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for leaving a comment. And I'll see you, like I just said, in the next video.